All right, let's get started. Who do we have on the list?
We've got Verstappen, Perez, Alonso, Sainz, Hamilton, Russell, Stroll, Leclerc, Bottas, Ocon, Gasly, Magnussen, Albon, Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, Sargent, Zhou, De Vries, Piastri, and Norris.
Whoa, that's a long list. Can we just rank the top 5 and call it a day?
No, we need to be thorough. Let's start with Verstappen. He's been performing incredibly well lately.
Yeah, I agree. Verstappen definitely deserves to be at the top of the list.
Okay, let's put him at S tier then. I'm looking at this tier list website, and that seems to be the highest.
Wait, we can't just rely on some website to rank these drivers. We need to consider their actual performance on the track.
I agree. Verstappen has been dominating the races lately, but we can't ignore Hamilton's consistent performance over the years.
Oh, please, don't bring up Hamilton again. We all know he's past his prime.
I wouldn't say that. Hamilton may not be at his peak, but he's still a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, Hamilton is definitely up there with Verstappen. Maybe we can put him at S tier as well.
I don't know about that. Hamilton is good, but he's not as good as Verstappen.
I think we can all agree that Verstappen and Hamilton are the top 2 drivers right now. But we can't forget about some of the other talented drivers on this list.
Yeah, we should definitely give credit to Perez. He's been a great teammate to Verstappen and has even won a few races himself.
Perez, are you kidding me? He's not even close to being on the same level as Verstappen.
I think that's a bit harsh. Perez has shown that he's a talented driver and can compete at a high level.
Agreed. I think we should put him at A tier.
A tier, that's too high. He should be at B tier at best.
Let's try to keep our biases in check here. We need to rank these drivers objectively based on their performance, not our personal opinions.
Speaking of personal opinions, what about Alonso? He's always been one of my favorites.
Alonso? Really, he's old news. He hasn't won a race.
That's not entirely true. Alonso has had some great performances this season, including a podium finish.
I think we should put him at B tier.
B tier? No way. Alonso is washed up. He should be at D tier.
Let's not be too quick to dismiss Alonso. He's a 2-time world champion and has shown that he can still compete at a high level.
Exactly. We need to give credit where credit is due.
Fine, we'll put Alonso at C tier, but that's as high as he's going to get.
All right, moving on to Sainz. He's had a solid season so far.
I think we should put him at B tier.
B tier? That's too high for Sainz. He's not even on the same level as Alonso.
Let's not get carried away here. Sainz has shown that he's a talented driver and has had some impressive performances.
I agree with Obama. I think we should put Sainz at A tier.
A tier? Are you guys serious? Sainz is nowhere near the top drivers in the sport.
We're not saying he's at the same level as Verstappen or Hamilton, but he's definitely one of the top drivers in the midfield.
And let's not forget about Leclerc. He's been driving really well in that Ferrari.
Leclerc? He's overrated. He's only good because he's driving a Ferrari.
I don't think that's entirely fair. Leclerc has shown that he's a talented driver and can compete with the best of them.
I think we should put him at A tier as well.
A tier? No way. Leclerc should be at B tier at best.
Let's try to be objective here. We need to rank these drivers based on their performance, not our personal biases.
And speaking of performance, what about Russell? He's been doing really well in that Mercedes.
Russell, who's that? I've never even heard of him.
That's because he's relatively new to the sport. But he's shown that he's a talented driver and has a lot of potential.
Russell? Oh, right. I remember him now.
I think we should put him at A tier.
A tier? That's debatable. He's still relatively new and hasn't had enough time to prove himself.
That may be true, but he's consistently been finishing in the top 5 and has shown incredible potential.
I agree with Obama. I think A tier is appropriate for Russell.
Fine, put him at A tier.
And let's not forget about Ocon. He won a race 2 seasons ago and has been driving really well this year.
Ocon? He's not even on the same level as Russell.
Let's not downplay Ocon's achievements. Winning a race in Formula One is no easy feat.
I think we should put him at B tier.
B tier? That's too high. Ocon should be at C tier at best.
Let's compromise and put him at B tier.
I can live with that.
Fine, but I still think you guys are overrating some of these drivers.
We're just trying to be fair and objective.
And speaking of fairness, what about the younger drivers like Zhou and Piastri? They deserve some recognition too.
Zhou, Piastri, who cares about them?
We should care about them. They're the future of the sport.
I think we should put them both at C tier.
C tier, that's too high for them. They're not even proven yet.
That may be true, but they've shown a lot of promise and potential.
And that's why we need to give them a chance.
Fine, put them at C tier.
What about the other drivers like Norris, Bottas, Magnussen, Schumacher, and the rest? Where do they rank?
Fuck them. I don't really care about the rest of the drivers, but I have to say I have a soft spot for the Haas team since they're an American team.
It's always great to see American teams in the sport. Well, I think we've had a productive discussion here today about the rankings of these Formula One drivers. It's important to approach these discussions with objectivity and fairness, and I believe we have accomplished that. We need to recognize the talent and potential of drivers at all levels, from the experienced veterans to the up-and-coming rookies. By doing so, we can ensure that the sport continues to thrive and remain competitive for years to come.